All right, so I'm just going to add this little addendum for the detail A because it's kind of hard to um, walk people through. Like, this is the whole site from a top down. So, this whole circle area is where, like, the sugar house is today. And that red stone is what I believe the the winter solstice would come through and shine into this circle. And the same for another stone that we've identified there that would be the summer solstice sunrise shining through into this mound. Um, that whole sort of uh, sweep or arc, if you will, is all sloped down into that so that it could form a bowl of effectively like an observatory using sight lines and coordinates and rocks pointing to different astral realities. And that's the way that I posit, and I think most would understand that when you see it, you have to kind of agree that it's like this most elegant and yet beautiful megalithic way of telling time, but also navigating, and surveying continents, and really just a deep understanding the mathematics and physics and all the inner workings of this amazing place that is planet Earth, right? So, as I'm starting to get, this is not to scale by any means, but, I recognize how so many waves of archaeoastronomers that I've been part of the protector program effectively globally, people just trying to protect these ancient artifacts of knowledge transfer and different waves of archaeoastronomers like millennia apart. I'm putting a timestamp of like 800 BCE or 800 current era. Actually, it's not BCE, but 5,000 before the current era puts it at about um, the Bronze Age, Paleolithic Age, and these are really long sweeps of time. But this is just one wave of a Milankovitch cycle of humans. Not just hominids, but modern day humans. Homo sapiens, literally evolving and taking large volumes of knowledge and encoding it in ways that I like to say as above, so below. On one level above, it's for all of us. If you look to the cosmic and the idea of the knowledge of or the transfer of knowledge and how it's important to all of us in this greater understanding of how this cosmos is oriented, what mathematics are, but without disrespecting all the cultural origin stories of all those first peoples and ancients and protectors that have come before, that have literally staked their lives on protecting a reality of these stoneworks, these mound sites, these petroglyphs, these pyramids, and being able to examine all of those pieces. You start to see what many of the Hermetics were embedding in all of these scriptures and texts and architecture throughout time. And, there's a lot of people that have gone about this in many different ways and telling these stories. And, I'm just looking at it from here in my backyard, which it's like a sweater unraveling when you start to like find these pieces. So, with that, I guess what I would say is the spiral effigy might be a wave, Bronze Age, all the stoneworks. There's another group of megalithics that point, just massive stoneworks that possibly broke off from a larger connected parabola. That would have been a later wave of the Nordic Passage archaeoastronomers. We have AI right now data modeling celestial star maps and some of the findings to see, can we get to a place where it's functioning high enough to understand how that cycle of alignment would actually have happened. So that's a huge challenge. It doesn't take much to start running into major amounts of bandwidth to figure that stuff out. But all right, so long story short, here is the current road bed of the road that takes you into Meadow House here. And what I believe is in the past, the astronomical center point, maybe for that Bronze Age. And I think, on the other side, on the east side of this road, the Waterworks Road here, you would have had these boulders. And these boulders right now are all suggestive of the same things we've seen for inputs of cisterns and storage tanks, not just here, not just on the North Mound, but all the way up the Worcester Range itself. So that is the east side of this whiteboard. And that's actually oriented to up that way is the Worcester Range. So it's one and the same. And the Green Mountains are here, and that's on the other side of the cabin looking out. And Meadow House is right over here. Now, what I realized was from the sugar house, when you stand in that bowl and probably a little bit lower in the ground where I posit this person would be standing, and relative to the basalt stoneworks that I think are going to be completely uncovered, we have a good portion of it uncovered, and it suggests that it goes all the way around a perfect 180 degrees, like that sort of thing. And that would have allowed all kinds of stoneworks to be positioned and propped, and the whole bowl of mountains around us would function like a megalithic sextant, which is kind of when I had that epiphany of like, oh wow, you really could use this site for that kind of stuff. That opens up a lot of possibilities, and then you put it on a magnetic north-south meridian for 12,235 miles. I mean, it gets deep fast, and due south of us is Machu Picchu, the exact distance of the radius of the Earth at the equator. And so all of these realities start, kind of recognizing like, well, there's big things going on here. Some of it's been destroyed. Some of it I might have destroyed, like for instance, Meadow House. So like when you're standing in that spot and you look over at Meadow House, like it would have been previously where a full range of mountains all along that sweep would have been visible from that spot, and from which all of the setting events of planets and stars and sun and moon could have been measured. Now the second floor of Meadow House is like in its way. So this is so crazy and out there, but if we can get this place restored, I would absolutely love to literally convert the second floor into a glass frame, so that literally it's like a studio space, all enclosed, but for the most part, and then on the flip side, you can like literally stand in this spot and look through Meadow House to the Camel's Hump behind and whatnot, and all of the contiguous mountains all around would be visible, except where trees are to the south of us and up towards the east of us. So, those are the realities of where that spot is, and I don't really think that's happening anytime soon. But that would be a really nice congregational space. I was thinking about, how do you incorporate all these ideas of restoration, and we have needs for congregational spaces. My kids are grown up, and they're no longer living on the second floor. So why not, on some level, think big? And I feel like if that creates a public resource where we can really recreate this astronomy site of this ancient historic proportion, that's cool with me. I've been here enough decades to recognize its benefit to everybody. And if in opening up that space, there's a view shed across, I mean, sure, if we have private functions and stuff that are paying the bills, then yes, we could maybe, close those spaces off with curtains or, do different lighting scheme and stuff. That could be fun as well. But, as far as creating that effect of being able to open it up wide and see all those surrounding mountains from that spot, that would be the piece that if I ever could architecturally fix what I kind of feel like I didn't understand enough of when I started, that would be part of it, without a question. And then knowing that, how we design the planetarium to our south, I think is going to be a significant, kind of because this is the location where the alignment for this wave of archaeoastronomers would be happening, right? So while these would be the astronomy centers, there's a cartography center, which is a slightly different spot. And so that would move it from, basically instead of like there, it moves over to like there. And anyway, lots of semantical details, but it has been what a ride. Like to be able to figure out just how archaeologically significant the site is one thing, but then to realize how I can almost reverse an impact, that I created, which, it may not be in my lifetime, but maybe down the road, Meta House gets an upgrade, and that is something that people will take into account. Because if you're thinking about the asset that this is to understanding the Americas and understanding how this world and our own humanity has all just evolved, the transfer of knowledge, the sacred geometry, and like literally all the astronomy and math and science and physics and metaphysics, it's just mind blowing. So, I'm really grateful to be proud of it. To be part of it, and super proud to be part of it. Without a question, just feeling like there's a sense of I'm just one in a wave of many that have been here and understood the importance and the sacredness of the space, and then also how that relates to a global reality where there's many of us as protectors that recognize things are worth protecting. Sometimes we don't know exactly why, but the actual essence of the spirit is speaking to us. And it could be that, um, together we all figure a better path out of how to protect what is sacred, and not just so that corporate abusers get to win all the time. It's some schema of how they think is, in everybody's best interest, and then it always turns out to be a corrupt fraud of a situation. So, we have to learn from experience, or we're just going to constantly repeat it. And I think the ancients, they were very real about this. They wanted us all working together, thinking together, on a massive global level, not just on our own individual bases or how we align with a gated community. And so towards that end, yeah, I'm really stoked to be sharing this stuff, and I hope everybody's well. Peace.